It's time for a fantasy football injury update heading into weekend number 5. It's time for ffchamps.com on Football Nation. Billy Enright is your answer man from ffchamps.com. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing good, Butch. How are you?
Well, we're doing well, but not compared to some guys that have some injuries. So let's dive right into it, and let's start in Tennessee. All these young quarterbacks, year 1, year 2. Is Tennessee pulling the plug on Jake Locker already?
I don't think they're pulling the plug. I think they want to give Matt Hasselbeck, the veteran, a chance to see if he can improve this offense. Jake Locker already ruled out for week 5 with a shoulder injury.
So let's look at running backs. And what's interesting to me personally, because it's always about me, Billy, but I started 2-0 in a lot of my leagues, and now I'm 2-2 in some of them. And I look at your running backs with injury updates, C.J. Spiller, Fred Jackson, Matt Forte, and Ahmad Bradshaw. I have them all.
Okay.
That's probably why I'm 2-2.
But, Butch, the guy you really want to worry about is Reggie Bush. We all know that he had that knee swelling issue, but right now, all of a sudden, a hip injury popped up for Bush. He's limited in practice this week, so that's certainly something you want to keep an eye on heading into Sunday. Get Daniel Thomas ready because you may have to pull the trigger on the second-year running back for the Miami Dolphins. And then some other guys from one of the running backs around the league. Peyton Hill is for the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't expect him to play with that ankle injury. But we do think Rashad Mendenhall of the Pittsburgh Steelers will be back in action for the first time in 2012.
The biggest injury concerning wide receivers, or the one that's got most people concerned, has got to be Julio Jones in Atlanta.
Yep. People are panicking right now, and I think it's a little too early to panic. There's some rumors that he has a hand injury, and he may have been a little limited in week 4, but I think Julio is just going to be fine. You know, that Atlanta Falcons offense, they're so prolific. They have so many different weapons. So defenses are going to have to choose, do we plan on stopping Roddy White or do we plan on stopping Julio Jones? The last 2 games, they've been trying to stop Julio Jones, so that's why his production's a little bit lower than expected. But don't worry, Julio will be just fine. Someone that's not going to be just fine, I think Greg Jennings is going to sit out for a couple weeks. He aggravated that groin injury. He's questionable for week 5. And then Hakeem Nicks of the New York Giants, he's also questionable, hasn't practiced all week, missed the last 2 games for the Giants. His knee's swelling up, and that's really not good news for the New York Giants. Now, if Hakeem Nicks is out, Ramses Barden is also out with a concussion. That means Dominic Hickson, get him into your lineups. New York Jets, we all know Santonio Holmes is done for the year. And then some other guys that are questionable, Lance Moore of the New Orleans Saints, Pierre Garçon, Jeremy Maclin, they were back in action in week 4. They should be fine for week 5.
Tight end injury update. I drafted Aaron Hernandez high if I'm one of those guys. I'm getting a little frustrated. When's he coming back?
He's collecting dust on fantasy football benches because he's too good to drop. And he's not going to be back in week 5, but he may be back in week 6. The news is that he's been walking around without a limp, so that's certainly good news for Aaron Hernandez. And then AFC East fellow tight end Scott Chandler of the Buffalo Bills, he's likely going to be out with a concussion, which is really a shame because he caught 2 touchdown passes in week 4. We were excited about seeing him in action heading into week 5.
He's Billy Enright. Bookmark this every week if you play fantasy football to give you an injury update, and check out the other videos, Champs and Chumps, Stardom and Sit 'em, everything you need. ffchamps.com on Football Nation.